We've learned a lot about how to make sprites like Scratch Cat do things. Now it's time to add some excitement to our stage. Today's project, we're going to make a surprise party for Scratch. It's going to probably be the most challenging project we've done so far. So this project is going to be a surprise party for Scratch Cat. We're going to focus on learning how to change the background picture, but also adding effects to that background and how to add music to our project. So let's get started. The first thing we should do is consider what we need to do in order to create a surprise party for Scratch Cat. So we definitely need a backdrop for when Scratch Cat gets surprised. And it's a dance party, so we're going to need another backdrop for the dance party. So let's go ahead and select our backdrops. In order to find those, we go over to the stage section of the interface and select the plus sign down here so we can take a look at all of our options. Now I did say that I wanted to create a party, right? So select indoors because most parties take place indoors. And then here we go, we have our party. Now we can add that to our stage. And now we've got a party. But since this is a dance party, we're going to need another backdrop for the dance party portion. So go back to your backdrops, and then we're going to go to music, and then we'll find the spotlight. And there is our second backdrop. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I get back to the first backdrop so I can start coding the surprise party entrance? Here's where you go. Right up here where it says backdrops, you click on it, and you just select your party backdrop again. And now we're ready to code. So since we're going to be beginning to code, we know the first thing that we need is an event handler. So we've got our choices, but let's click the green flag. So that's going to be what starts our entire program running. When Scratch Cat arrives at the party, we'll probably want to hear some cheering, and we'll probably want to see the word surprise pop up. Let's hold off on adding that sound of cheering right now. We can go ahead and add the block for them yelling surprise. So that's a looks block, right? Because it's a word. We're going to have them say something. So we'll just drag this look block over here, and we'll change it from hello to surprise, and we'll let it stand on the screen for 2 seconds. The next thing we're going to want to do is have Scratch Cat head into the dance party. Before Scratch Cat heads into the dance party, we should probably put in a control block that has Scratch Cat wait 2 seconds. In other words, we want him to stand and hear the cheers and look at surprise for 2 seconds before he starts moving. Otherwise, he'll move at the same time as the surprise. And now we're ready to add those motion blocks of having Scratch Cat move. Having Scratch Cat move, we'll have to drag our motion block over and tell him to move. Let's try 45 steps and see how far that gets him. If we go ahead and do that and then we click it, we see how far he goes on 45 steps. That'll give us a good idea of how many steps we might need. Okay, did you see that? He doesn't move very far. This gives us a few choices. We can add 45 steps multiple times, 45 plus 45 plus 45, however many it takes to get him to the edge of the screen so he looks like he's going into another room. And certainly doing that is okay, but don't forget we can use our loops and have him do that several times instead through looping. So why don't we go ahead and grab our looping block, and then we'll have him repeat it, maybe not 10 times, but let's have him repeat it 4 times. The other thing we want to be careful about is we don't want Scratch Cat to go off the screen and be gone. So we're going to want to go back to motion and grab a block that tells us that when Scratch Cat gets to the edge, he bounces back so we don't lose him again. All right. Once Scratch Cat gets to the edge, we're going to want him to move into our party room. And so we're going to need to put in a new block that changes the look of our stage, right? So we're going to switch our background. So if I'm changing a look, I'm going to the looks blocks, and I'm going to scroll till I find where it says to change the backdrop. And here it is right here. Switch backdrop to, well, we want the spotlight backdrop, so we'll just we'll just grab that and change it. So now when Scratch Cat gets to the edge, the backdrop will change to the spotlight backdrop, which is the party room. Let's see if that works. Surprise, there we go. And there he goes into the party room. It certainly did. All right, so now that we know Scratchcat works and that happens, we're going to need to consider a couple of other things. For example, now that we've switched to the spotlight, how do we get the party back? Well, we're going to have to remember that we need to start with the party backdrop, and to do that, we just need to go to the looks, grab the switch backdrop, put it here at the top so that when we turn green, it immediately goes to the party backdrop. So every time it starts the same exact way. So remember earlier when I said we would hold off on putting the sounds in? Let's go ahead and take a look at putting sounds in now. We want to make sure that when our backdrop, it starts with the party, that we're able to hear those cheering sounds. First thing you're going to need to do is go to the sounds menu, which is up here. And when you go to the sounds menu, there's that plus sign on the sound below. Click on that, and you're going to choose your sound. You can type in the word cheer, or you can search for it. Click on that, and now you've got your sound ready to go. Go back over to code, click on your sound handlers, and drag your cheering sound to the beginning. So now when Scratchcat starts, they'll be cheering. We'll see that it says surprise, and we'll wait a few seconds. He'll move across the screen and he'll go into the backdrop. So one thing I noticed as I was talking is that I put the start sound in the wrong place. We want that after we switch to the backdrop. We don't want to start with the sound. We want to start with the correct backdrop. So let's go ahead and check it out and see if we did it right. There we go. Now let's just drag Scratchcat back to where he started. And our first scene of the party, the surprise scene, is ready and it's done. Now we're just going to want to move on to our next scene, which is the second backdrop. Since that second backdrop is a party scene, probably what we need to do is have some music. So what we'll need to do is create a new event handler, because we don't want the party music and that kind of thing to start when we hit the green flag, because that's actually for the next scene. So we need to grab a new event handler, and that event handler will be when backdrop switches. So we know that when the backdrop switches to the spotlight, we're ready for something different. And that's basically to play some music, some dance music, right? So we know now how to get the sound. So we'll go over to sounds, and we'll go ahead and let's take a look for some dance music. Let's call it Dance Around and see if that will help us. Here's some dance around music. And then we can go back to our code, go to sound, and we're going to say start the dance around music and keep that going until the whole program is done, right? So there we go. Now when we switch, we will be having that dance around music. Let's see how that works now. All right, so that worked the way we wanted it to, right? Up until now, we've only had scripts written for the sprite, like Scratchcat. But now we have to really consider writing some scripts for the backgrounds. Usually at a dance party, what happens in addition to the music? Did you say a lot of times disco lights are flashing? You're exactly right. So we have to figure out a way to make our lights flash. Now, like I said, we've only ever done scripts for a sprite. Well, the background isn't a sprite. How do we do that? How do we make a script for the background? Well, let's take a look. So in order to change scripts for the background, we just need to make sure we've selected the background. Right down here, we see that our sprite is selected. And so this is all the script that has to do with what the sprite does. But now we want to write a script for our background. So we go over here to stage, we click on backdrops, and now this is where we're going to write the script for the backdrop. Now for this backdrop, we don't want the script to start at the click of the green flag, right? Because that wouldn't make sense. We wouldn't even see it happening since we'll be in the other party room. So what we need to do is grab an event handler that says when backdrop switches to, and we go to Spotlight because that's the backdrop we're using. What we want to have happen is we want those lights to change color. Let's think about the last project, one of the last projects we did when we had the scratch cat changing color as it chased the mouse. Do you remember that? Do you remember what block you used to make that happen? Did you say that you went to the looks block and that you went and changed color effect by 25? If you did, you're absolutely correct. Now we're going to want to change our color in our backdrop by 25 every time, but we need something else in order to do that. Do you know what it is? Well, if we want something to happen over and over again, then we have to use, that's right, a loop. So we're going to go ahead and grab the forever loop because we're just going to let it continue on and on and on. And we're going to change that color. And now, when we start our project, we'll be able to have our scratch cat have a dance party that changes lights. Let's take a look. There we go, we did it. Awesome. So now we were able to create a new project that's a little bit more complicated, that has a few more steps and scripts for different parts of the project. And so now I'm going to issue you a challenge. I want you to add something else to the party. Maybe you're going to add more sprites other than just Scratch Cat, party goers. Maybe you want to make the balloons change color in the first backdrop. Maybe that you're going to make the Scratch Cat appear to walk across the stage rather than glide across the stage. There are ways to make that happen. Or even make the Scratch Cat dance. Go ahead and make your Scratch Cat surprise and post it into my studio for some feedback. See you next time.